good afternoon. My name is Casper. If you have any questions about this lecture, you can contact me at info@opportunity.to. Also, we're going to be making a product site for the email bot task manager. So we've been coming out with a whole slew of products that I think that are going to be providing a great way for the productivity of your organization to improve. And when I say productivity, it does not necessarily mean that it's going to mean workers being more stressed. In fact, it's helping workers do an easier job. Let me give an example. Is it easier to pound a nail in with a rock, or is it better to use a hammer? Now, as simple as that may sound, we find ourselves working in organizations and we're still using very old, outdated methods of actually getting work done. It doesn't necessarily mean that these methods are wrong, but there are better ways. And if you're doing tasks repeatedly within an organization, it's very important that we can somehow improve efficiency. One of these ways is if we have a hammer, we can go to a nail gun. We can get a perfect strike every time. And this allows the worker to actually focus on the task at hand. There are times that maybe pounding a nail in with your hammer manually is the right thing to do, but it shouldn't be just a hammer or nail, because we know that if we focus on the goal itself, and the tools fall in place in the right way at the right time, we know how to execute on those tasks. That's why we have tools in general. We have a goal that we orient ourselves towards, and we choose the appropriate tools to get us there. So what is an email bot task manager? Well, before I get too much into it, I would like to let everyone know this is going to cost 40 Hong Kong dollars per user. So if you have an organization of, let's say, 10 people, this will be 400 Hong Kong dollars. The reason why it's per user is because the bot needs to be designed and the tables need to be adjusted to the user. So it's not anything that is being built inefficient. In fact, it's important that each user is charged, because that is the value that you're actually getting much more value than this in regards to productivity, but that's why it needs to be charged per user, because a separate database table is being made for each individual, and machine learning will be adapted to each and every single one of those tables individually and as a whole. So I've actually written just under here, it's the last solution to the traditional to-do list. Now, the traditional to-do list is a yellow legal pad paper. You grab yourself a pen and you write to-do list, and you put an underline under it. You write number 1. Let's say it's a certain task, but let's keep it very simple. Let's talk about our personal lives. Do groceries, and then you can make a sub dash. You can go apples, pears, cabbage, whatever. Then you can put point 2. You can say pick up the kids from school. Then you can, underneath, you can make a dash. Make sure to take them to ballet class. Number 3, dot. Deliver the mail while the kid is at ballet class, right? And you can put a sub dash underneath that. You can say Oh, and don't forget to don't forget to use the postage that you already have, so you don't have to buy more while you're there. So I mean, we all have these to-do lists. Now, what is the failure of a to-do list? It's you don't look at it, right? And I'm not sure if you've observed, but the modern day businessman no longer carries around a briefcase. A lot of people find themselves carrying backpacks, and there are some people who still carry around planners, though in fact I have not seen that many. Most people are trying to centralize all their scheduling. They might be using Oracle from their work, or they're using Google Calendar, but we're all trying to simplify our lives, right? We want to get rid of clutter, and carrying around a legal pad is actually one of the best and most effective ways. But if you're a business manager, can you count on people to be carrying around this legal pad with people? No, it's not going to happen, right? Even if you insist on it, how do you keep up with it? How do you make sure that it's being used? This is a really big issue, right? You can have a mandate across an organization, but how do you, if it's not digitized, how can you make sure that it's being executed on? And you can have a roundhouse and you can say, okay, now everyone wears a planner. Oh, I left mine at home, I was on the desk, my dog ate it, whatever. That isn't a failure of itself. Now if you expand on that, so what is a to-do list at work? Well, it's a task that needs to be executed on, okay? But how do you know what is the actual validity of a task that someone has proposed that they themselves should execute on? Is it actually the right thing to do? They themselves, do they know if it's the right thing to do? Does management even know if it's the right task to execute on upon? So now, of course, because this is a digital service, we can offer for international clients, and these are some example pricings. It would be €4, £5, $5 US, 6 Canadian dollars. Now, these are rough numbers based on how much it would cost for us to receive the money, because we are based in Canada, though myself, the business is based in Canada, though myself, I am in Hong Kong. So let's take a look at some of these slides that I have here. So again, I'd like to say I have millions of points of data that I have personally been able to observe and see how it interacts with certain components of job applications and employers actually making decisions on certain applications. So we have actually taken a look at what works, and we've also on the human element been able to see what actually gets people hired from an unbiased perspective. So it's very unlike almost every single recruiter or every single person who's in the actual process of hiring, because we're a third party and we're actually observing what actually gets people working and what kind of temperaments, and we use sentiment analysis to actually take a look at what actually is going on. Now, if you could say, oh, okay, well, Sonny boy, I've been in this biz for whatever, 20 years, I know what it takes. Yes, from your singular bias perspective. You may be good at what you do, and your temperament may be correct, though it is unscientific, because you have that thing that allows you to your consolidated wisdom and knowledge. But though you are a single individual, for that to be communicated effectively is very, very unlikely. And so I'd like you to imagine